Welcome to the Maximize Business Value Podcast. This podcast is brought to you by Mastery Partners, where our mission is to equip business owners to maximize business value so they can transition their business on their terms. Our mission was born from the lessons we've learned from over 100 business transactions, which fuels our desire to share our experiences and wisdom so you can succeed. Now here's your host, CEO of Mastery Partners, Tom Bronson.
Hi, this is Tom Bronson, and welcome to the inaugural episode of Maximize Business Value, a podcast by Mastery Partners for business leaders who are passionate about building long-term sustainable value in their businesses. For this first episode, I thought it would be appropriate to talk about change. Mostly because at this time of this recording, the country and indeed our entire world is working through the dramatic change of dealing with coronavirus or COVID-19. You know, leadership is all about change. Most leaders thrive on change. When implemented thoughtfully and properly, change can lead to increased productivity and better results. After all, Albert Einstein said that at the very definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. One of my favorite television shows to watch on HGTV is Love It or List It. My wife and I were channel surfing late one night and happened upon an episode we both had seen at least a half a dozen times. When I stopped surfing and put down the remote, my wife asked me why I stopped. And I said, maybe this time they'll choose to list it rather than love it. We both had a good laugh. In spite of the fact that change can lead to better things, most people do not like change, and some are downright resistant to it. But why is that? Change upsets the status quo. Change means that we have to learn new ways of doing things, or that the comfort of yesterday is lost forever. Change makes us feel out of control, and whether you're a control freak or not, everyone likes to feel in control. In fact, even when change seems intuitively better, we say things like, well, it's better to stick with the devil you know than go to the devil that you don't know, or this is the way we've always done things. We are, after all, creatures of habit. Routines become automatic, like when you drive to your office and yet you can't remember how you got there. If you've been following the same route for weeks, months, or years, and then suddenly one morning you're forced to take a detour because of construction or an accident, chances are you're going to remember that drive and complain about it for a long time. You see, that change jolts us out of our unconscious routines into complete consciousness, and now we have to think. How we deal with change determines how fast we can get beyond the initial shock and move to the promised land of better and faster. Almost universally, change drives people into what I like to call the valley of despair. Upon first learning of change, we start with shock. Why are we doing this? Typically, pretty quickly, that shock morphs into denial. This isn't really happening, is it? When it starts to sink in, we move into the frustration downhill slide toward the bottom of the valley. This is just stupid, or this is never going to work. During the downhill slide, others around us are feeding the same feelings until we finally reach the very bottom of the valley. Depression. I can't do this. We long to return to the old ways, or we fantasize about leaving. I'll show them this place will fall apart without me, or I'll go get another job, and then what will they do? Once we get all of that out of our system, and just when we think we're at the end of our rope, we have that first breakthrough moment. That seemed to work. So we start experimenting by dabbling a little with the new change, These are the first steps up the other side of the valley. Pretty soon we start getting some wins, and oh my goodness, I'm not sure I want anybody to know this, but this seems to be working better than the old way. It's the light at the end of the tunnel. So we make a commitment to the new change, and pretty soon we emerge completely from the valley of despair, better, faster, and more efficient than ever. The change is now fully integrated, perhaps not exactly how it was envisioned by the one who invented the change in the first place, but the results are starting to show. The valley of despair is a real place. Everyone goes through it. Even leaders who love change can go into the valley of despair. One of my mentors used to say, it's okay to visit the valley of despair, just don't build a condo. The faster we can move through the valley, the faster we can achieve more. The speed with which we move through the valley has everything to do with attitude. A great attitude, even in the face of sudden and dramatic change, can get you through the valley quickly and on to greater productivity. So let me ask you, what about this current situation, COVID-19? It's heaped a bunch of change on all of us all at once. At the very least, depending on where you live in the country or in the world, you're having to learn the art of social distancing. Many of us live in areas that are under shelter-in-place orders, where we can only leave our homes for absolute necessities. Whether you agree or disagree with the orders in your area, I think we can all agree that the sooner this inconvenience is over, the better. Inconvenience, of course, meaning the spread of the disease. So, how are you dealing with this situation? Are you having to learn how to work or go to school or teach from home? How are you handling it? Why are we doing this? Or, this isn't really happening, is it? Or, I can't do this. Remember, the faster you get beyond these feelings, the faster you can climb up the other side of the valley toward this new, more efficient reality. For me, when it first happened, I didn't like it. And in fact, I'm sad to tell you that I was a bit of a denier at the beginning. My family was skiing in Taos, New Mexico when COVID-19 started really impacting the lives in the United States. That weekend was some of the best skiing we'd ever had in Taos, our favorite place to ski in the world, because we got nearly 17 inches of fresh powder on the first day. 2 days later, the resort, along with nearly all of the ski resorts in America, closed for the season. My daughter got a text from her best friend who told her that we might want to pick up some toilet paper on the way home. Wait, what? Toilet paper? Don't we make toilet paper in the United States? So as we started our journey back to Dallas at 5 a.m. on Monday morning, I resolved to stop in one of the tiny little towns along the way and pick up a package just to be safe. Our first stop was at a Walmart in a tiny town in New Mexico, and that is when it started to sink in that we were headed for a problem. There was not a roll to be found on the 670 miles between Taos and home. When we got home late that afternoon, and because we'd been gone for several days, I decided to just run over to the grocery store and pick up some food for dinner. The place was devastated. It was busier than the day before Thanksgiving, and I was shocked to see how many completely empty shelves there were. I mean, even the capers were gone, for crying out loud. Wow! By the end of that first week, I was in full frustration and headed fast for depression. So come Monday of the second week, I started to think of ways to keep working through this. I rescheduled most of my upcoming meetings to video conference calls. I started to realize how much more efficient that was than actually driving from face-to-face meetings with clients at their offices, at coffee shops, or over lunch. By the end of that day, I'd made up my mind that this is a great opportunity to work on the things that I wanted to do, but never seemed to find time for. Like, for example, starting a podcast, which has been on my to-do list for over a year and a half. This is a great opportunity for me to be strategic and work on my business rather than in my business. Basically, I decided to get my head out of my backside and get to work, as Robert Irvine would say on his hit Restaurant Impossible show. Now, I'm way more efficient. I can meet more people more quickly. I'm using technology to create better, more efficient way to work. And I have a better life, surprisingly. Sure, it takes some time getting used to from, the old ways that I've had to, and I've had a steep learning curve to get here, but I'm getting more done every day than I could in most weeks. And don't get me wrong, just like you, I can't wait to go back to my favorite craft brewery or restaurant soon and see my friends. In fact, I like these new efficiencies, though, so much that I'm going to implement many of these changes permanently in my business. Who would have thought that when the change happened? So, how are you using this time? Are you using this time to be strategic, or are you still lamenting about the good old days of just a few weeks ago? I challenge you to embrace this and indeed all change and run headfirst into the valley and start the march up the other side quickly. Like me, I bet you'll be amazed at the results. Over the next few episodes of Maximize Business Value, we're going to be talking about how to continue to build long-term sustainable value in your business, even during challenging times like these. I hope that you'll join me on this journey. So until next time, I'm Tom Bronson, reminding you to stay safe and maximize business value.
Thank you for tuning in to the Maximize Business Value podcast with Tom Bronson. This podcast is brought to you by Mastery Partners, where our mission is to equip business owners to maximize business value so they can transition on their own terms. Our mission was born from the lessons we've learned from over 100 business transactions, which fuels our desire to share our experiences and wisdom so you can succeed. Learn more on how to build long-term, sustainable business value and get free value-building tools by visiting our website, www.masterypartners.com. That's mastery with a Y, masterypartners.com. Check it out.
That was perfect. I wouldn't make any changes on that.
Mastery Partners equips business owners to maximize business value so they can transition on their own terms using our 4-step process. We start with a snapshot of where your business is today. Then, we help you understand where you want to be and design a custom strategy to get you there. Next, you execute that strategy with the help of our amazing resource network. And ultimately, we help you transition your business on your terms. What are you waiting for? More time? More revenue? If you want to maximize your business value, it takes time. Now is the time. Get started today by checking us out at masterypartners.com or email us at info@masterypartners.com to learn more.